I don't This is an NBC News special report. Here's Hallie Jackson.
Good morning. We are coming on the air with President Trump set to address the war on Iran from the White House. It's our understanding he'll do so at the start of a previously scheduled Medal of Honor ceremony in the East Room. That's what you're looking at there. It's coming not long after we heard from his defense secretary at the Pentagon, saying this will not be an endless war, although no specifics on a timeline for this conflict. President Trump already today suggesting in an interview that what he called the big wave of attacks hasn't even started yet, even after the attacks we saw over the weekend. And with 4 American service members killed already, the president has braced the nation for the possibility of more U.S. casualties to come. Let's get to Monica Alba, who is live for us at the White House. Monica, we'll listen in when the president begins to speak. But so far, since these strikes began, the president has not ruled out the possibility of American boots on the ground in Iran.
In fact, Hallie, it almost seems like he is preparing Americans for that possibility. And these will be the president's first public remarks since he did order Operation Epic Fury Friday night into Saturday morning. He has released those pre-recorded videos laying out some of the initial objectives of this massive ongoing military operation, but he hasn't given a lengthy or public address to the American people to explain what the end game might be here, how this does conclude, how long this could take. He's indicating it could be anywhere from 4 to 5 weeks, or that could extend. The president also hasn't discussed necessarily what the regime change plan could be here for Iran, acknowledging that dozens of leaders, he says, in Iran have been taken out, have been killed by joint U.S. and Israeli strikes. But when asked what the leadership future may look like for Iran, the president says it is unclear, and it is unclear, Hallie, what role the U.S. will play in that. You did mention earlier today that briefing from the defense secretary and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane. They are both in the room here for this Medal of Honor ceremony, and they are both signaling to the U.S. and to the American people that this is an operation that is unapologetic, overwhelming, and could continue with force for many more days to come.
And Monica will listen in to the president speaking now. President Trump in the East Room.
And thank everybody for being here, and please feel free to sit. So before we begin this important ceremony, and there's no ceremony that can be much more important than this, let me provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury. Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime. Following our obliteration of Iran's nuclear program in Operation Midnight Hammer a short while ago, we warned Iran not to make any attempt to rebuild at a different location because they were unable to use the ones that we so powerfully blew up. But they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional ballistic missile program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed a very clear, colossal threat to America and our forces stationed overseas. The regime already had missiles capable of hitting Europe and our bases, both local and overseas, and would soon have had missiles capable of reaching our beautiful America. The purpose of this fast-growing missile program was to shield their nuclear weapon development and make it extraordinarily difficult for anyone to stop them from making these highly forbidden by us nuclear weapons. We were the ones that were complaining. We were the ones that wanted it stopped. But everybody was behind us. They just didn't have the courage to say so. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat to the Middle East, but also to the American people. Our country itself would be under threat, and it was very nearly under threat. I was very proud to have knocked out the Iran nuclear deal by President Barack Hussein Obama. That was a horrible, horrible, dangerous document. They would have had nuclear weapons 3 years ago, and they would have used them. but I'll not let that happen. For almost 47 years, this regime has been attacking the United States and killing Americans. Every time you see someone with missing arms and legs or a face that's been absolutely shattered violently, it was almost certainly caused by an Iran roadside bomb. They were put there by General Soleimani, who was the father of the roadside bomb. Very proudly, he thought, but I terminated him in my first term. This was our last best chance to strike what we're doing right now and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this sick and sinister regime. And they are indeed sick and sinister. Our objectives are clear. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones, and pretty good ones they make. Second, we're annihilating their Navy. We've knocked out already 10 ships. They're at the bottom of the sea. Third, we're ensuring that the world's #1 sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon, never going to have a nuclear weapon. I said that from the beginning. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon. They were on the road to getting one legitimately through a deal that was signed foolishly by our country. And finally, we're ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside of their borders. And we thought we had a deal, but then they backed out. And they came back, and we thought we had a deal, and they backed out. I said, you can't deal with these people. You've got to do it the right way. Today, we grieve for the 4 heroic American service members who have been killed in action and send our love and support to their families. In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve to crush the threat this terrorist regime poses to the American people, and a threat indeed it is. We have the strongest and most powerful, by far, military in the world, and we will easily prevail. We're already substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always. And we have, right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks. But we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it. Somebody actually said from the media, I think he'll get bored after about a week or two. No, we don't get bored. I never get bored. If I got bored, I wouldn't be standing here right now, I guarantee you that, to go through what I had to go through. We also projected 4 weeks to terminate the military leadership, and as you know, that was done in about an hour, so we're ahead of schedule there by a lot. But please join me in thanking every American service member who bravely is standing in harm's way. They really are incredible, and I just want to thank you. We have a lot of them right here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We have a lot of great service members here with us, too, in this beautiful building. Isn't it beautiful? We're adding on to the building a little bit. We're improving the building. See that nice drape? When that comes down right now, you see a very, very deep hole. But in about a year and a half from now, you're going to see a very, very beautiful building. And there's your entrance to it right there. In fact, it looks so nice, I think I'll save money on the doors, because it can't get more beautiful than that. I picked those drapes in my first term. I always like gold, but I think we can save a lot of money. I just saved curtains. But, and it'll be spectacular. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom. I believe it, because I built many a ballroom. I believe it's going to be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world. And when you hear all that hammering out there, you know why the First Lady is not thrilled exactly. She said, will the pile drivers ever stop? You know, they go from 6 in the morning till 11:30 in the evening. Can you imagine? Here? You know what? To me, that's a beautiful sound. She doesn't like it. I love it. You know what? To me, other than here, because we're donating it, not a penny to the taxpayer. It'll be under budget, ahead of schedule. It'll be $400 million or less.
President Trump with an aside there about the ballroom that he is building across from the East Room of the White House, where President Trump is right now, laying out the rationale earlier for those U.S. strikes, which he says are not over, describing that large-scale operation that continues into today, calling it the last best chance to strike the Iranian regime. I want to bring in our chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel, who is joining us now from Tel Aviv. And on the timeline, Richard, this is significant here. The president has alluded to something like 4 to 5 weeks for this operation, but he is clearly suggesting that it could last longer.
That, I think, is what struck me the most, is he's setting out these very, very vast objectives, military objectives, and putting a timeline on it, 4 to 5 weeks, acknowledging that it might slip. But he didn't talk very much about the day after. What kind of government is supposed to replace the one that is being dismantled and disarmed in Iran right now? That is very unlikely to take place over the next 4 to 5 weeks unless there is some sort of deal, unless somebody within the Iranian system, like what happened in Venezuela, is selected by President Trump, makes a deal with President Trump, makes a deal with Israel. But at this stage, that does not seem to be happening. We're still seeing an ongoing war, a war that is expanding to new territory. Just today, Lebanon, which had not been involved in this conflict until now, fired rockets into Israel, Israel firing back, Hezbollah, the pro-Iranian militia group, claiming responsibility. And then just a short while ago, Qatar, which houses a U.S. base and was trying to negotiate a peace deal between the U.S. and Iran, said that it shot down 2 Iranian fighter jets. So Iran is now also using fighter jets. The U.S. consulate in Pakistan, where there were protests yesterday and pro-Iranian demonstrators tried to storm the building, announced that it is now closed. So this is a conflict that continues to grow more complex, involve more territory, yet President Trump is saying that it will be wrapped up within 4 to 5 weeks.
He's also, Richard, taking this opportunity to make the case to the American people about this war on Iran here, laying out the objectives to take out the missile capabilities of Iran, take out their naval capabilities, starve their proxies, prevent them from rebuilding any nuclear capabilities as well, Richard.
So there were 2 things, 2 types of justifications. One was effectively a theoretical threat. He was saying that if in the future Iran were to expand its ballistic missile program, it could threaten the United States. And if Iran were able to develop a nuclear program, accusing Iran of trying to reconstitute it. So he was talking about a theoretical future threat, and the rest was past grievances from the Iraq War.
Richard Engel live for us there in Tel Aviv. That concludes our NBC News special report for now. We're going to have more coverage on your local station, on our streaming network, NBC News Now, and a full wrap-up later tonight on Nightly News, along with our coverage on NBCNews.com. I'm Hallie Jackson. For all of us here, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.